Okay, folks, Michael J. here. So, understand that this is the opinion, and I provide an opinion. You have to use your own discernment, because I, in no manner whatsoever, want to make a decision for you. And you say, what the heck are you talking about? This is the deal. I just provide a different perspective to give you a different way of shedding a light on certain situations, just to provide a different contextual understanding. And you, the person, the human being, has to use discernment, and based on that information, use thought and reason, and apply thought and reason in a measured way to define how it's going to serve you. Number one. And what it serves thereafter is number two. So that's where we're at. So what I'm going to do is here now, just to give you an overview, my take on the Republican Party in the United States of America, Conservative Party in Canada, federally and provincially. That's strictly all it is. Now I'm going to refer now to Steve Boots just to give a little bit of a different perspective, because he just comes up with some good material for me to work on. So let's go to the picture-in-picture. Just so you know, this is a day ago. Today is February the 15th. Happy après Valentine's Day for all you lovers out there. Valentine's Day is every day as far as I'm concerned. But that's another topic for another day. So let's see what Mr. Boots, I think Boots is the cat. Steve is his first name. Understand he's from Saskatchewan, teacher. Took leave from teaching for a bit because of stress relief. He needed stress relief. Ironic, people need stress relief in this world. I wonder why. But nonetheless, I do not want to digress too far, left or right, because people put labels left or right, stereotypes because of left or right. It might just be a turn signal, folks. Don't get caught up in the labels. So anyways, let's listen to this here first. Let me know what you're thinking, because I'm going to get to a very, very important point that puts what I consider the Republican Party and Conservative parties in a very simple way of looking at things to help you understand how to decide how you want to proceed with whatever I bring forth. Simple as that. So here it is. If it's love, joy, and harmony, I'm for it. If it creates pain and suffering unduly and unnecessarily, I'm not for it. Those are my operating principles. That's my operating system. Simple as that. Let's start off with Mr. Steve. And maybe like the Matrix. Mr. Smith, take it away, sir. No pun intended. Yikes.
I want to take a moment to talk about this guy, Elon Musk, pictured here wearing a cowboy hat backwards, while trying to look like a badass. You remember at Donald Trump's inauguration when he did this, and then he insisted that he wasn't doing a Nazi salute? It was...
Okay, I bring up Elon Musk for a reason. Because Elon Musk endorsed Pierre Poilievre. Elon Musk endorsed the ADF party in Germany. Elon Musk has verbally endorsed far right-wing parties in British UK. Do you see a pattern here? And I'm just showing the pattern. Beliefs, patterns, and loops. You have to understand beliefs, patterns, and loops. Everything you read, everything you watch, everything you hear creates an event in your cranial structure. Just telling you how things work. So let's move forth.
Something different, just a random muscle spasm that just happened to cause him to accidentally do something resembling a Nazi salute, or that he was throwing out his heart to the audience or some such thing. Who's to say? Anyway, plausible deniability. But that's not really what I want to talk about here. Because I'm not going to accuse Elon Musk of being a Nazi. I have no way of knowing that. But what I do know is something far more sinister. Because it's not necessarily that he's a Nazi or not, it's that he thinks Nazis are funny. He thinks there's something to joke about. Like in the aftermath of being accused of being a Nazi, he decided this was the moment to try to troll the internet. He posted this. I'm not going to read it out. It's awful. It's just a bunch of Nazi name puns. Because this is the obvious problem here. He thinks Nazis are hilarious. And it's not just him. It's part of a much broader problem. You see, there's this deep combination of cynicism and irony that has led to people just not believing in anything. There is a really awful sort of nihilism where folks just don't believe in anything. There's no underlying ideology or even connection to humanity. Elon Musk doesn't have some sort of elaborate worldview. He just thinks that he gets to do whatever he wants, take whatever he wants, and say whatever he wants. There's this idea of doing stuff for the lulz. Doing stuff because they think it's funny, because they think that pissing people off is hilarious. And there's a lot of different offshoots around this. Think about the idea of triggering the libs. Like enormous amounts of right-wing content is just trying to piss off liberals and leftists. That's why they always call me an unhinged leftist. Because that's me, the unhingediest. That's why you get things like conservative commentator Matt Walsh showing up the DNC in a wig. There was no point he was trying to make. He was just there to piss people off. And this is exactly it. It's not about belief. It's not about ideals. It's not about anything other than just being an asshole. They think that pissing people off is funny. That's why you wind up with so many right-wing trolls in your comments. The left doesn't troll right-wing content, at least not at anywhere near the scale. But they think that pissing people off, making jokes about Nazis, and saying the worst things they can think of are funny. It's why they're trying to bring back using slurs, because they think it's funny. And you see it again and again. Elon Musk trolls people, saying things like, "Girl, you're no longer governor," to Justin Trudeau.
And don't forget, Pierre Poilievre, Doug Ford, Danielle Smith, Scott Moe, to varying degrees, exhibit these patterns of these slurs in certain ways.
He's just here to piss people off. So let's think of this from a human behavior perspective. Why would somebody act like this? What it really comes down to is that somebody who acts like this is insecure about their own ability to get attention through their own merits, through their own quality of character, by being somebody that people like to talk to and spend time with. When somebody's insecure about that, they try a different approach. They try to get people to pay attention to them by being a gigantic asshole, by picking fights, by picking arguments, by trolling people on the internet, by making demands, by making outrageous claims and statements. It's an attention-seeking strategy, and it is incredibly pathetic. And it's why so many arguments online are so frustrating, because for one of the two sides, it's not about facts, it's not about ideology or beliefs, it's about pissing you off. That's really what they want here. Which brings me to the part of the story that connects to Canadian politics, because these sort of dark jokes, the ones that are actually covering up a deep lack of giving a shit, they are absolutely all over the place in Canadian Conservative parties. Doug Ford joked about sending MRI patients to a veterinary hospital. During last year's election, Blaine Higgs made a joke about a Liberal supporter dying. Don't worry though, he said, quote, "I know it's not an appropriate joke, but it's funny and it's true." Oh, so I guess it's okay then. You can joke about dead people if it's funny. Rules of decency don't count if you think you're funny. But the story that I want to highlight today is from Manitoba. You see, the Manitoba Conservatives are looking for a new leader. At present, there are two candidates, and one of them said something absolutely appalling. So this is Wally Dodrick. He lives in Churchill, Manitoba, and he operates an eco-tour agency, which takes people out to see the polar bears east of Churchill. And he's alleged to have made yet another one of these trademark conservative edgy jokes. CBC reports that he said, quote, "We have a homeless crisis here in Winnipeg. I always say where I come from in Churchill, we don't have any homeless people. Anyone take a guess why? When there are serious repercussions for a bad lifestyle, people smarten up very quickly. So my plan is to import 10 polar bears and let them go in front of the ledge." So let's be clear here. This is incredibly obviously a joke. This is not a sincere suggestion to have polar bears eat unhoused people. But it is an admission that he thinks the idea is funny, and that he thinks that getting eaten would be a serious repercussion for a bad lifestyle. So when his apology essentially boiled down to, "It's just a joke, bro," saying, quote, "If people want to criticize me on that, they have to understand that obviously nobody's going to be moving polar bears around." Yet nobody thought that he was. Nobody actually believed that's what he wanted. It's just that he thinks it's funny. And we all see how that's bad, right? And this is the heart of the issue. Whether or not Elon Musk is a Nazi, it's pretty clear that he thinks Nazis are a laughing matter. Wally Dodger likely does not believe that polar bears should be unleashed in downtown Winnipeg, but he appears to at least think it's funny. But more than that, let's be clear here. These are people who want to be leaders. They aren't comedians. They're meant to be, at least in part, the voice of the public. But more than that, these sort of goofy jokes absolve themselves of addressing any sort of serious issues. So I want you to imagine for a second, you're an unhoused person living in downtown Winnipeg. You've got nowhere warm to go. It's 40 below out, so you tuck yourself into the foyer of a Winnipeg hotel. But there's some sort of political event going on. You hope they're busy and won't notice you and kick you out. And while you're standing there, you hear him talk about dropping polar bears in downtown Winnipeg to deal with the problem of you. It's dehumanizing. And I especially think in this sort of time, as people are advancing.
So there you go, folks. That's what I wanted to bring your attention to, how you're being manipulated. And we've got a really hard slant in ideology that is looking at the human experience, the human being, as an animal and has no value and worth. Everybody has value and worth. The systems and the construct of the systems are the real issue. And that's what needs to be addressed. And that's what nobody has taken into consideration. But now what I'm going to bring to your attention is this here. So let's switch back to the main screen. Okay. So whether it be Republicans or conservatives, here's the issue. They've only got two ways of dealing with the people, with the economy, and pretty much everything. It's a Darwinian way of looking at things. People climbing on the back of other people to get ahead. Simple as that. Secondly, when it comes to government and helping people, they've got a very limited bag of tricks to help people. Number one is tax cuts, and number two is free markets. Regulation does not work for them. They want to deregulate because consumer protection bureaus, environmental protection bureaus, are a hindrance to profits. Profits can be made on different ways, but they have not the wherewithal or the cognitive abilities to change their way of thinking in order to create new revenue sources that serve the planet better and serve the human being better. Just saying, folks. Simple as that. And then the other is free markets. And what do I mean by free markets? I'm just going to go to a topic that's going to resonate with pretty much everybody. You want an apartment? Even a one-bedroom apartment could cost upwards easily of $2,500 a month. It's out of the affordability index of most people. Corporations have bought a lot of the rental properties. Corporations have used throughout North America a software to price fix the amount of properties and their cost available to the population. And you just don't understand what's really at play here. You think it's supply and demand. Sure, it's supply and demand, but that supply and demand can be regulated, can be modified to actually provide for all people. The person that needs to make a profit and to make sure that nobody's left behind and out in the street without a roof over their head unless they've made the choice. Now, very few understand one thing. Very few of the homeless made that choice to be out in the street. But it's a real problem. Finland, not the ideal way to do it, but they actually eliminated homelessness. Nobody in North America except for the guy in the Canada West, he's an indigenous guy, really bright guy, has a very different way of looking at things. He's finally Western Canada. His name's Poilievre or something like that. I'm brutalizing his name. But he's actually making efforts to fix the homeless problem, and it can be fixed everywhere. It actually can be fixed everywhere. You just have to do it. But here's the problem with whether it be Republicans or conservative parties in the Canadian national and provincial scenes. Look here. This is the latest House GOP budget blueprint. You notice in the top tax cuts, $4.5 trillion. Debt limit increase. Goal for spending cuts. Judiciary Committee, Homeland Security Committee. Biggest item on the list is tax cuts. They did tax cuts in first term of Trump won. Between those tax cuts and then the pandemic thereafter created an inflationary spiral, plus it created a debt spiral for the country. And the debt has increased greatly because of that. We're going to talk about just the America, and it is with Canada as well right now. But these tax cuts is how the Conservatives and the Republicans purchase their voter base. Simple as that. Nothing to help your country with the deficit issue. Don't get hung up on balanced budgets. That's not the solution either. Everybody, especially on the conservative side, has said balanced budgets. That, on a government point of view, does not work for the people. It works for the guy with a household budget. It works with the corporation, which is private corporations or public corporations. Different ways, too, with each one of those corporations, private or public, because cash flow considerations are a different factor, too. And we don't have enough time to go through all the different micro and macroeconomic factors. Let's just keep it simple. So here, what you're having is goal for spending cuts here. Let's look at this. We're going to strictly focus on the American Republican side right now because it's the biggest, has the most impact with numbers to show you cause and effect. Goal for spending cuts, $2 trillion. So where are these $2 trillion in spending cuts coming from in order to give tax cuts to the top, mostly to the top 1% and the top 2%, or 10%, sorry. Top 1% and 10%. Those tax cuts do nothing to stimulate the economy. They're going to use slogans, they're going to use bylines, and this is what they've done for the better part of 100 years. In order to convince you that this is best for you, and we're best for you because this is what we do for you. But here's the thing. You're at a time now where your overall debt of the country has been blown to smithereens. Like it's way too high. You're at a point of no return pretty near. Pretty well there right now. But you're still going in this direction because this guy's doing that. So where is the goal for spending cuts, $2 trillion? Medicaid. Get rid of government employees. Get rid of the Department of Education. Get rid of everything. Even get rid of employees that cover the nuclear oversight of your nuclear weapons. They just did that, and they just finally realized, oh, that's the nuclear weapons. You're taking a cudgel to stuff. This guy, it's hurting your country. It's hurting it big time. It's not measured. It's not thought out with thought and reason. It's just everybody taking a friggin' sledgehammer and just knocking the smithereens out of institutions, which if it was through thought and reason, measured response, and done in a calculated way that benefits your country and the people in your country, fine. But no, it's not being done that way. It's being done in a manner that's going to hurt everybody in order to get that goal for spending cuts, in order to give that $4.5 trillion for tax cuts. And then what's going to happen after the tax cuts? What's going to happen 4 years from now after these tax cuts? You're going to be in a situation where you might only have one leader because your electioneering process has been friggin' neutered. Your constitution has been neutered. All for the almighty buck for the 1% and the 10%. This is not going to serve the people. So that's what I wanted to bring to your attention. And this is why conservatism in Canada and in Ontario, until it makes a drastic U-turn in their direction and finally starts serving people in a way that actually serves them, and the Republican Party in the States, it's going to be what we call a cluster muck. And I put that M word, cluster muck, instead of what Clint Eastwood said. Just saying, folks. A little brevity here. So, it's a very simple process. But you, the people, have to educate yourself on how you are being served. And you have to get involved in the process. If you think there's this idyllic way of, I just think good thoughts, it's going to happen. Well, I'm going to give you an example. This 2024 election in the United States, a lot of people didn't vote because they thought like that. And a lot of people don't vote, or even now they think, well, this is not the Conservative Party I elected. And so when there's going to be a next, say, interim elections in 2020, so I'm not going to vote, I'm going to hold my vote. You're not helping anybody. You've got to get people in there that are working for the people. And then the people you get in there working for the people, you've got to get on the blower, get in their faces, and let them know what you want as far as being able to serve you in the best manner possible. This is how, but use a certain degree, a modicum of civility. And this is the most important thing. So love and peace to everybody. Questions, comments, throw in the comment section. And other than that, I've got nothing else to say on this topic. Use your own discernment, get information, get educated, do what helps you, your family, your neighbor, and everybody else. We're all in this together, and the moment you start realizing that, act on that basis, understand you have the free will. You can do otherwise. It's up to you. So love and peace. Do what my friends do when things get out of hand. Anxiety has overtaken you because you've got no... you get hung up on the past and the future, and you just don't live in the present. It's just life. So do what my buddies do. Sleep on it. Take a few deep breaths, folks. Ciao for now. Take care. Love and peace to everybody. Thanks for watching.